Reading from the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, Book 1, Volume, Chapter 7, Text 70. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. What happened here? Stambhādy-antaritāḥ satyo, devyo tiṣṭhan prabhu-priyāḥ. Satyabhāmā na tatrāgāt tam kṛṣṇo pṛcchad uddhavam. The beloved queens of the Lord stayed hidden behind objects such as columns, not approaching him. But Satyabhāmā had not come there with the others, so Krishna asked about her from Uddhava. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Taksur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So greetings from New Jersey. Yeah, came back from Russia on what day it was, Wednesday or something? No, Tuesday. Can't even remember. What day did I come back?
Thursday.
I came back on Thursday. It was a 20-hour flight, but by Krishna's grace, there's been no jet lag at all. It was a real nice stay, and I missed 2 classes, and I think one thing about my nature is to be very steady. So I don't like that, but it was unavoidable because when I came to I had a schedule, and the people that were hosting wanted to take me to see different sites, and I'm writing about that on Monday Morning Greetings because it was quite spectacular. That city is beautiful. I didn't know that, but it has canals running all through it. Big canals, beautiful buildings. I think I went to see one church. You know, we went New Jersey. There's something with the There's a joke. I think it's in India. What karma did that beautiful temple from the Swami Narayana? What bad karma did that temple do in its past life to be born in New Jersey? But it's spectacular. It's beautiful. But I went to this church, and it's just awe-inspiring. The whole thing is just incredible mosaic. The whole thing, incredible mosaic designs, and gold domes. And so it would have been cutting it close. So I missed 2 times. Yeah, but it was a great trip. And I joke, I'm a guy that doesn't like fun. I don't like go to the beach, even I don't like sightseeing. But I did some there, and it was great. You take this speedboat down the Baltic Sea, and then the summer palaces. That's what I wrote about. There was the king built one, Peter the Great, with these powerful fountains with these intricate designs, and there's even one fountain that has spikes, and it goes around. It's like the sun, and it's big fountains and smaller fountains, and they're all really powerful. And there's no pumps. It's all that they collected natural rainwater, I don't know, up on the hill, and it just flows down with force. So anyway, you'll read about it. But the programs were great, really great. Okay, I'm talking about this Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, and we're at a particular spot, I talk about the genius of Sanatana Goswami, because he has to present this high subject and make it very clear how it's spiritual. And there are 2 aspects to it that are hard to think is spiritual. One, the gopis, it's a romance. Of course, from a mundane perspective, romance, but from a spiritual tradition, to idealize that as the highest spiritual thing between God. What to speak, to accept forms, to accept those activities in those forms is spiritual. And then that highest conception is filled with the most intense lamentation. So from one standpoint, it looks like it's passionate. The other standpoint, it looks like it's ignorance, lust and depression practically. And but in our conception, this is the highest. This is the highest conception. He has to explain that. And it's a task, and he becomes empowered by his prayers to do it in the form of this incredible story of Narada looking for that. And so many different aspects. I'm not going on because it's the same group. How you get this concept from different perspectives. And now it's going to culminate in the story of Krishna being angry with Satyabhāmā about her being angry with Krishna for his deeper love for the gopis. Let's just go back a little bit from Uddhava. You have Uddhava, he goes to Uddhava, and who is Uddhava? I just say my own language. Uddhava is no slouch. He's the mantri, he's the advisor of Krishna, the advisor of God, carries that message. What does it say about the fact that he's given the message of Krishna's heart to the gopis? What does that say about Uddhava? And it explains in verses that he's an advisor, he has this extreme emotional intelligence, he's bodhisattva, he is, in general, the most intelligent person to figure out things. And he's the most dear to Krishna in Dwarka. And he's the disciple of Brihaspati, so he knows Shastra. So he can, when he went to the gopis and saw their state, he can understand it because he was disciple of Brihaspati from Shastra, that this is not a material thing. Just like even Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was an impersonalist, But because he was very learned, when he saw, Lord Chaitanya faint, and he took out a strand of cotton and put it by his nose to see if he knew that this was an ecstatic state. So, he had that. He was dear to Krishna. Krishna confided in him his heart. Who do you give your heart to carry like confidential messages that will potentially upset everybody? Not only upset the people who hear about it, not understanding it, like when Lord Chaitanya saw Ramananda Roy and they went into ecstasy and they were rolling on the ground, and then they looked at Ramananda Roy's, all his soldiers were like wondering what's happening. They said, stop, they're not going to understand this. We'll meet in a secret place and describe that. So he's the person. You start off that he's the person that says, my pride as the topmost devotee was crushed to dust. My pride as the topmost devotee was crushed to dust when I saw the gopis. So again, that points to it. And then we have the devotees who object to that because they say they're suffering so much. How can they be the topmost recipients of Krishna's mercy? That also points to it. Because what are they suffering for? Out of separation from Krishna. And then you have the other devotees, the queens of Dwarka, that say, no, they are the most beloved, because even when Krishna is in Dwarka with us, he talks about them. So from that perspective, it's the topmost devotee. Then Krishna wakes up from the disturbance, and he's so upset he's so touched and moved and disturbed that his devotees are suffering. That points to them as the topmost devotee. And then they go to New Vrindavan to revive Krishna, because then Lord Brahma comes, and and the whole, and they have to revive Krishna. They take him to New Vrindavan, and we describe that this replica of the spiritual of Vrindavan. And the queens of Dwarka go, and they're hiding because the rule will be up if Krishna sees them. And they become more ecstatic, as this is going to be described here too, that when they see this, then that also affirms, because the queens of Dwarka, his intimate wives, what an intimate relationship, they never seen anything like Krishna's love for the gopis. So from every different perspective, while you're following this incredible narrative and story with so many intrigues, but it's like, that's what a great writing is, that's what a great book is. There's one point. There's a theme which connects everything else, and it's just presented in different ways. That's, so it's so brilliant in the narrative. And now it's going to come down to another thing, that the queens of Dwarka are approaching Krishna. And it'll continue this theme, trying to get us to understand that the love of the residents of Vrindavan is the highest. And in there, the gopis are the highest, and in there, Srimati Radharani is the highest. So now the intrigue, the story comes, the queens are hiding, Krishna says, where is satyabhāmā? So now, who's he said that to Uddhava. So, Si Haridasa Uvacha, Vrindavane Yada Jato Vijayo Raivatarchite Prabhos Tatat tanam bhavam abhura brahmakam param kamapya lokya devi bhi saha tatraiva durita stita niliya durbudhir uche padmavati kala. So who's Haridas? Haridas is Uddhava. So again, when Uddhava speaks and he speaks about the love of the gopis, etc., and who is Uddhava? When Narada came to see Uddhava, and he was giving references from the Bhagavatam where Krishna says, of all the devotees, no one pleases me as Uddhava. Uddhava is not different than me. So Krishna already has affirmed Uddhava's position, the fact that he's glorifying him. So the Lord's servant Uddhava replied, when you took your glorious excursion to Vrindavan, which is embraced by the Raivata hill, your special mood might have bewildered the unintelligent, but your queens were unable to perceive it. So we would be bewildered too. This mood of Krishna's passion and depression in terms of the love of the gopis and his separation, and then his so it says the mood may have bewildered the unintelligent, but your queens were able to perceive it. They therefore hid themselves, watching from a distance. Then the spiteful, weak-minded Padmavati addressed them. So now Padmavati is going to tell them, the spiteful, and what's her envy going to say? You queens are nothing compared to those, forest girls. So Padmavati also, in her envy, even Padmavati's envy is going to point to that. Purport, Uddhava is sometimes called Haridas. Sukadeva Goswami therefore says, Saridvana Girat Dronir, Vikshan Kusmatam Drumam, Krishnam Samsmaryam Reme, Haridaso Vrajokasam. Seeing the rivers, forests, mountains, valleys, and flowering trees of Vraja, Haridas Uddhava enjoyed inspiring the inhabitants of Vrindavan by reminding them of Lord Krishna. Devakyari Punyahine Re Re Rukmini Durbage satyabhāmā Varehanta Shambhavatyadeyo Vara Pashatedam Ito Rakswam Abhimanam Vamuchyata Abhiranam Hidasyaya Tapasyam Kuratotama. O Devaki, devoid of pious credits, O unfortunate Rukmini, wretched Satyabhāmā, Shambhavati, and you other miserable women, look here. From now on, you should give up your pride and undergo the greatest penance to become servants of those Ambira nomad women. So again, they're not like Brahmins. They're not Brahmins. And obviously bhakti is not based on that, but there's a society and a culture. They're not Brahmins. Not only they're not Brahmins, the Abir is, what's that verse? Yanyei chapapa chadapasayasaya. I don't know, what is that? There's a verse that describes all the low-class people, and one of them is Abira. Hunata, Unindra, Unata Palinda Pulkasa, Ambir Yabakad. Anyway, it's a verse that, so she tells them, and it's envious, but actually it's a glorification again. The queens of Dwarka may have won Krishna's hand in marriage, but they should not think they have a stronger hold on his heart than the Vraja gopis. The Abiras are a degraded class of nomads, where the cowherds of Nanda are respectable twice-born Vaishyas, but because Nanda's community is engaged in the same cow-herded business as the outcast nomads, and also just out of spite, Padmati calls Nanda's Gopas Abiras. Sukadev mentions the Abira tribe in the second canto of the Bhagavatam. So anyway, here's that verse. Kirata hunindra pulinda pulkasa ambira kanka yavanakashadaya yenye chapapa chadapasrayastraya shudyanti tasmay prabhu. Kiratas, Hundas, Andras, Pulindas, Pukasas, Ambiras, Kankas, Yavanas, members of the Kasha race, and even others addicted to sinful acts can be purified by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord, for he is the supreme power. I beg to offer my respectful obeisances. Pulindas are Greeks, Yavanas are Turks, Kasha is like the Chinese. I mean, it's how politically incorrect. Tadurvacho nisham yadho devakyoktam abhigyaya samasta jagat adhara bhavad-adhara bhutaya ascharya atra kim murke purva janmini yattapa saman shri vasudevena mayakari sutayatat atoyam avayo prapta putratam varadeshvara asmin nanda yashodhabhyam bhakti sampartita vidam. Uddhava told Krishna, the wise Devaki shelters you, who shelter the whole world. When she heard those wicked words, she said, foolish woman, what is unusual here? Sri Vasudeva and I, in our previous lives, underwent austerities to get the Lord as our son, and therefore the Lord, the bestower of all boons, accepted that role. But Nanda and Yasoda prayed to the Lord Brahma for pure devotion. So now Devaki himself has said, you foolish woman, okay, they're greater, so what? We know that. Because we have Krishna as our son, but we prayed for the Lord and went to severe austerities in our past life to get Krishna as our son. But Nanda and Yasoda just prayed for pure devotion. So even that, Devaki and Vasudeva outside of Vrindavan, in Dwarka, compared to the Gopa. So, purport, Sri Krishna surely has special affection for his parents, Vasudeva and Devaki, as well as Nanda and Yasoda. But Nanda and Yashoda are more intimately connected with Krishna. Vasudeva and Devaki in their previous lives as Sutapa and Prishni strove to attain a parental relationship with God. When they finally achieved the Supreme Lord's audience, after strict austerities for many years, they submitted to him their desire, and the Lord agreed to fulfill it. As the Lord later told Devaki, O sinless mother Devaki, after 12,000 celestial years in which you constantly thought of me within the core of your heart with great faith, devotion, and austerity, I was very much satisfied with you. Since I am the best of all bestowers of benedictions, I appeared in the same form as Krishna to ask you to take from me the benediction you desired. You then expressed your desire to have a son exactly like me. Bhagavatam 10:3, 37-38. Krishna is Varada Ishvara, the best of those who give benedictions. By granting a single boon, he was able to bless Prishni and Sutapa to become his parents not only once, but 3 times. But to Nanda and Yashoda, whose love for him was even more pure, Krishna bestowed a greater reward. In the rasa of parental love, they enjoyed the topmost perfection of prema bhakti, found only within the realm of Sri Vrindavan. Because in Vrindavan, it's spontaneous, which means it's not guided by any obligation or duty. Because as soon as you approach a superior, there's obligation or duty. And that weakens the love, even though it's pure and it's great, but it weakens it. So that prema bhakti, that type of bhakti, is only found in Braj. Nanda, in the role of Vasudrona, expressed the unconditional purity of his love when he prayed to Brahma, "Please permit us to be born on the planet Earth so that after our appearance, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Controller and Master of all planets, will also appear and spread devotional service, the ultimate goal of life. Thus, those born in this material world may very easily be delivered from miserable materialistic life by accepting devotional service." Nanda was concerned for the upliftment of the unhappy, conditioned souls. He wanted Krishna to exhibit his childhood pastimes so that the world would hear and recite them and regain the taste of love of Godhead. So, this is how to get the taste of love of Godhead. And thank you all who come to this class, because this is actually if you want love of Godhead, this is the process, is to hear about his pastimes. Yeah, and I saw, this is also, when I was in Russia, and class was given, I speaking a little bit about Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta and giving this summary, especially the last class that I gave in St. Petersburg. What a level of appreciation when you get that taste, that it's communicated, that taste for these pastimes. Tasyai tad bhakta varyasya tadvishena varena tau avabhyam api mahatmyam praptosa parivakvarakau. By the blessing of that foremost devotee of the Lord, Nanda and Yasoda, along with their whole household, became greater than us. So what's the thing that most stands out is that in spiritual consciousness, there's no mundane envy. And we all face it when someone is better than us, especially in the same class. You don't mind, okay, the sannyasi, the gurus, you make that class, but your class, we all make our own little worlds with people, and then this competition. And what's the 6 Goswamis? Dira dira jana priyo piyakaro nirmatsaro pujatao. They're not envious. Dharma projita kaitavotra paramo namatsaranam satam. The devotee is not envious. He's not seeking to get ahead in the material world. Therefore, he's not interested in fruitive activities, and he's not interested in other scriptures that are not based on the Bhagavatam, which kicks out dharma projita kaitavo, cheating dharma, where you perform your religion to get ahead in the world. The devotee has no concern like that. And we're always tested. When our ego is diminished, when someone else is praised, when someone else is better than us. But look at this, it's just so direct. Devaki said, they're better than us. It's very hard for us to say that about someone in our class. They're better than us. It hurts us. Purport, in Devaki's opinion, Brahma had the power to make Nanda and Yasoda the best parents of the Lord, because Brahma himself was the best of all the Lord's devotees. In the words of Sukadeva Goswami in the 2nd canto of the Bhagavatam 295, Sādi devo jagatam paro guru. Brahma, quote, is the first of the gods, the supreme spiritual master of all the worlds. Devaki indicates by her comparison of blessings that the Supreme Lord was so greatly empowers devotees engaged in his service that the benediction they give can be even more effective than his own. Okay. Tabyam sneha bharenasya palanam tarihitam ato shaitadrisho bhavas tayor yukto hime priya. Because of their exceptional love, they were allowed to raise the Lord as their child and cherish his many wonderful activities. Therefore, his special attitude them is fitting and very much pleasing to me. Tasya parama antim. This is supreme. Their love, when they had me as a child. We know that when Krishna was in Dwarka with Mother Devaki, they offered prayers. They had some sense of that. So it's beautiful. But they also saw him as God. And that gave some distance and duty and obligation. It's not there with Mother Yasoda, who Krishna is her son. We know that when she looked into Krishna's mouth and saw that Krishna was God, saw the universal form and saw herself, she prayed. It ruined her bhav, which is anugraha or mercy. Motherly love is anugraha, it's mercy. It requires an object of mercy. God is not an object of mercy. So those parental feelings, it's very hard to have towards God. There's one, this guy became really big as a big guru figure. His name was Andrew Cohn. He made his mother a devotee, and he was famous for eventually he was exposed and they turned against him because he was talking about full surrender, and he would just abuse these devotees, make them perform all kinds of austerities just to purify them. So he'd put them through torturous things of obedience and punishment. And then his Jewish mother became his disciple, and he tortured her. He put her through so much to purify her of the ego. And eventually she turned against him and wrote a book called Mother of God, exposing him. She saw her son as initially, as a guru, then she couldn't look at him as less until she did. Nandi and Yasoda deserved the best reciprocation from Krishna. Had Krishna not dealt with them in the most intimate way, he would have been guilty of ingratitude. So again, this is talking about who deserves the best reciprocation from Krishna. Of course, Krishna reciprocates perfectly with all pure devotees, but we know it's more forceful in spontaneous type relationships. It's more forceful, it's more emotional, there's more separation. Ata Shri Rukmini Devi Saharsham Idam Abravit Yadvaktya Shravanat Sarva Bhaktanam Prema Vartate. Uddhava continued, then Shri Rukmini Devi brightly spoke. By hearing her words, all the devotees increased in love for Krishna. Again, this drama, it's just all about this one thing. Who are the topmost recipients of Krishna's mercy? And we see Padmavati telling the queens, you're nothing. But their response is what? May nothing whom? I am nothing. compared to them. So the whole drama just keeps on pointing to this. Hearing praise of devotees greater than oneself, like the praise about to be spoken by Queen Rukmini, does not cause envy or discouragement for pure Vaishnavas. Rather, it increases their eagerness to please the Lord by their own service. Yabatri putradi vihaya sarvam lokatvayartham anupekshamana rasadibis tadrisha vibhramaistad rityam bhajam tatratam enam artha. Sri Rukmini said, those women gave up everything, their husbands, sons, and all else they had, disregarding their own fortune in this world and next, and during distress they worshiped the Lord in their own way, enchanting him in the rasa dance and other pastimes. So now Rukmini is saying, yes. Padmati says, you're nothing. Yes. Yes. Those women gave up everything. So again, it's through the mouths of different people pointing to the gopis. And that's the whole idea with the gopis, is they gave up everything. Even their good karma. We have family, we have children, we're situated. They gave up everything for Krishna. There's nothing that is an impediment. Like the river that is flowing to the ocean is, it's spontaneous. There's nothing that can stop it. And that should stop it. Your reputation. You will be ruined if you do this. Ashli Shiva, Padaratam, Panastumam, Madarshanam, Mamahatam Karotu Va. You may make me brokenhearted by your embrace. You may crush me by embrace. You may make me brokenhearted. So it's pointing to that. Atohiya no bahu sarot no tamai sadyasya chintyasya chabhava yogita mahaprabho prema vishesha palibi satsadna dhyana padattvamagata. We can hope to achieve the Supreme Personality of Godhead only by following many rigorous spiritual practices. And we can meditate upon him only by strictly training the attention of our hearts. But these gopis cherish such exceptional love for him that they easily attain the success of the most advanced stages of meditation. Because an emotional connection to the object of meditation is spontaneous and powerful. And others have to perform austerities, rigorous activities. Vayam natu vitriptatma uttama shloka vartate. We got to perform yajna. We got to perform bahunam janmanam mante jnanavam mampapadyate. They come to this point. They're already, by bahunam janmanam jnanavam, these people who possess jnana, they come to this point. Aho bata swapa chato griyam yajiva gre vartate namatu. But one who's come to this point, it's so rare. Other devotees can only hope to follow in the footsteps of the Vrindavan gopis, and by the sincerest endeavors might begin to approach the perfection that the gopis was their natural birthright. For the most part, devotees can see Krishna only in their hearts, but the gopis serve him directly with all their senses. Indeed, they permanently hold Krishna's attention, as Uddhava told the gopis. The yogi nam api padatim vo, the yogi no gantum apikshamante, yajeya rupasya parasya pumso, yuyam kata jaya padam durapam In your mood of separation, you have traversed a path on which even great yogis cannot go. You have made the Supreme Person the object of your meditation, though other seekers can focus their attention on him only with great travail. Great thing. So yeah, because when Uddhava, he saw the gopis and he came to Uddhava. It's a place, it's near Nandagram, where Uddhava came to finally find the gopis and deliver the message. And he saw them in this mood of separation. He saw this high platform of separation, and Radharani talking to the bumblebee, Jalpa Prati Jalpa, nonsense talk. You are the unreliable servant of the unreliable master. It is betting, therefore, that Krishna loves them more than us. We are obsessed with our religious duties, social obligations, children, grandchildren, homes, household affairs, and so on. We are but his maidservants, worshiping him with reverence like fallen conditioned souls. We married wives should not envy his exceptional love for the gopis. Rather, we should always glorify that love, for it proves how very subservient he becomes to his beloved devotees. Okay, I'll just read this one purport. Is quite long. I usually don't like to read on the medium, and sometimes, but we'll follow. So just understand what's happening. Now the queens are just saying, no, Padmavati, you're right. They have the highest love. And they're not envious. So that shows, it's just showing you what devotion is. They're not envious. But satyabhāmā is not there. And this is what's going to happen now in this kind of genius of Sanatana Goswami. Satyabhāmā is going to come, or Krishna's going to call him and be upset because she doesn't have this mood. She's expressing some envy, so he's going to tell her. So the ultimate conclusion of the book will be Satyabhāmā telling them why, from Krishna's mouth himself, why the gopis are the best. But let's read this purport. Speaking on behalf of all the queens, Srimati Rukmini, contrasting their own mode of serving Krishna with that of the gopis, admits that the service of the queens is inferior. Because the queens consider Krishna their husband, their exchanges with him are restricted by social rules. The queens are bound by concerns for various worldly and religious duties, whereas the gopis have no concern for anything but satisfying Krishna. Thus the gopis serve Krishna in such an indescribably exquisite sports as the rasa dance, whereas the queens can render only the conventional services a faithful wife performs for her respected husbands. From the queen's standpoint, only the gopis of Vraja possess the purest type of love. Krishna accordingly responds to that unique love in unique ways. Sometimes he hides himself outside a corner of the gopis' house and attracts the gopis' attention by making curious sounds. She quickly rises from bed and steals to the door, carefully not to awaken family members such as her mother-in-law. And outside she meets Krishna and pleases him with embraces and kisses. Even during the day, Krishna is sometimes busy in a grove selected for a secret meeting on the bank of the Jamuna. While arranging a soft bed from leaves and flowers, he hears the sounds of falling leaves, signaling that his beloved has arrived. He turns his face towards the path outside the grove, by which a gopi, on the pretext of fetching water from the Jamuna, is coming to fulfill his desires. Sometimes at dusk, several gopis become intoxicated by hearing Krishna calling them with the song of his flute. They run towards him hastily, their garments, hair, and ornaments in disarray. But when they meet him, he tries to turn them back with proud, deceptive words that cast them into despair. And after they helplessly beg him to exchange his mind, he acquiesces, giving up his pretense. And when they realize that he was only joking with them, they become filled with joy, grab hold of the end of his yellow dhoti, and pull him into a nearby secluded grove. In such a way, the gopis enjoy the freedom of worshipping Krishna as their paramour, where the queens of Dwarka admit that they are limited to worshipping him according to the principles of religious household life, subject to Vedic injunctions and social customs. Therefore, the queens declare the queen should never envy the gopis, for a subordinate should never envy a superior. Maidservants in a noble household, for example, should not be jealous of the mistress they serve. Rather than envy the Vraja gopis, Krishna's wife and Dwarka admire them as perfect exemplars of devotion. Krishna's love of the gopis deliberately shows everyone the greatest feature of his transcendental personality, his voluntary submission to the control of his dearest devotees. Without daring to state it openly, the queens nourish a hope to become like the gopis. The queens minimize the value of their own devotion, blaming themselves for being attached to mundane, religious, and social duties. Although in truth, the gopis are free from any material attachment. Even if the queens are attached to religious and social obligations, this is not a fault, but a virtue that enhances their special love for Krishna. When the queens speak as Rukmini does here, they do so out of natural humility to express their admiration for the rare fortune of the gopis. So even it says it's less, but it's not. It's just, if one has like this respectable father, which is kind of rare in the Kali Yuga, but they used to have that where they would respect their fathers so much. And if they were fearful of making a mistake, it was born of that love. But still, it's not as forceful as other relationships that are more spontaneous. Okay, now I'm relieved because I missed 2 in a row. I don't like to lose the momentum. Okay, Jamunajaya started off.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for class. This is such a great section. There are 2 thoughts that came into my head right off the bat. I thought that this whole section was, the way they were talking is such a wonderful way to look at Raganuga and Vaidhi Bhakti. It seems like the queens are one and the gopis are another. I was just really struck by that. And then what you said early in class about envy, that when one feels envy, that really means that they're in the material plane. And because we don't see any envy in the spiritual world, then envy comes from because they want something materially. And I was really struck by that point quite a bit today.
Yeah, the queens is mixed. That their relationship, because Krishna's the husband and he's the king, so there's that reverence, but it's mixed with that Vaidhi. It's not pure Vaidhi. They are in the conjugal relationship, but that's true. It's so much different. And there is envy in Braja, but it's just born, the jealousy is just born out of devotion. They would say, even Radharani and Chandravali, if Chandravali can please Krishna most, then Radharani would serve her. So, okay, great. Okay, Gail, you have any questions?
Hi, Krishna Maharaj. Yeah, a couple things. One is that it's interesting that despite the queen's admiration for the gopis and their desire that they could, I guess, love Krishna like that, but they cannot actually, I don't know, bring themselves to make the sacrifices that the gopis could because of their different...
That's who they are.
Yeah, that's who they are.
It's just like Bhishma Dev sometimes glorifies. There's the verse that Bhishma Dev's glorifying the love of the gopis. So it's kind of a sense, but it's not really antithetical to their natural mood, because they wouldn't have that mood.
Right, and that's why you said that they're they're saying that they're less, but it's not really that they're less. Is that what you meant when you were saying that?
Say that again.
Remember, just now you were saying it looks like they're less, but they're not. Something like that. You were saying, and I thought you meant that because
What I was saying is, I'm trying to remember what it was, saying they're less, but they're actually more than they're less.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, what I was saying is that even though it's obligation and duty, I'll rephrase it. And they're saying they're condemning it. But what I'm saying is that's actually part of their love in that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So in one sense, it's not as spontaneous, but it's completely pure. It's still completely pure, even though it's maybe not it's not as spontaneous as the paramour lover. It's still pure. And I gave the example of someone respected a father, right? There would be fear. So in one sense, you could say, someone else has no fear in relationship to him. It's more spontaneous. But the son that reveres someone, that fear is just born out of his reverence. So it's an expression of love. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Okay, Maharaj, I can't just ask one more thing.
Yep.
About Devaki and Vasudeva.
Yeah.
They wished for a son like God. I once heard that the fact that they use this word like God is why they didn't get the position that Yashoda and Nanda.
I don't remember that, but I can understand that there may be some commentary like that, that people deal with those words like God. Yeah.
But were they expansions of Nanda and or not, or Nanda and Yashoda or not?
I'm not sure. I don't know the technicalities right now.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else say hello before we go? Jai Shri Radha, you never can tell what happened in Russia.
What happened?
Well, at one place I was served borscht.
All right.
And there was cream on the side. And I put the cream in the borscht and I loved it.
Oh
so
my God.
The next time I come to your house, you have to make borscht. We'll talk about that today. You'll have to make borscht with cream on the side. It was a whole revelation.
It's a revolution of the Russian cuisine.
Yeah. It was good. I mean, especially in every place, because Nilambar is such a good cook, and Lavanya is such a good cook. But in St. Petersburg, they really brought out their A team. Yeah, even had a Chef Boyardee kind of. He's like a manager in the railways, but he still had this kind of Chef Boyardee cap. Anyway, I finally went there in the summer. It's a whole different world,
Right. Yeah.
Okay, I don't want to talk too much because you'll be in separation from your homeland too much.
Thank you, Gurudev.
Okay, anybody else say hello?
Krishna Maharaj, this is Krishna-katha. Thank you so much for the class, and we begin to miss you again. It was so nice to see you and to listen to your wonderful katha. I remember every day. Thank you so much.
I remember, and you managed to come to every class. That was great. Okay, great. Anybody else say hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Lal Govinda. Thank you for class.
Haribo, Pandaji.
Haribo.
You got that tilak and all those beautiful Krishna tattoos. Are you getting tattoos over your tattoos now with like holy names and things?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, anybody else say hello?
Hare Krishna, Gurudev. Thank you very much for the class.
Okay, Yavid Sundari, Hare
That's
Krishna. Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank
Anybody
you. Nice
else?
to see you.
Hare Krishna. Thanks for class. I'll
You
see you
bet.
later.
I didn't see you in any of the classes in Moscow.
I know, right?
You're not at your game. You're losing your game. Okay.
I'll
Okay.
see you later.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Anybody else coming? Anybody else say hello? Excuse me. Okay, I'm going to look down the list, see everybody, and thank everybody for coming. It's so great to be back again. Okay, Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha